Hello you lot, Miller Corner here, welcome back once again. And if you're a regular viewer of this channel, unless you watch for my dashing good looks and charming personality, thank you very much, there's a good chance that you watch for this, my Fiat Seicento Sporting, the Super Seicento. It's been my long-term project car and I absolutely adore it. But through my job at Classics World, I've had a chance to drive all kinds of cars from all kinds of eras, and I have come around to the way of thinking that a big wafty barge is a really nice complement to a thrashable little nugget like this one. I decided at some point I did want to add a big classic cruiser to the garage for relaxing summer drives, going to shows and so on. After I drove this particular car though, I knew that one day I had to own one, and now I do. I've bought one and I am absolutely chuffed with it. So I'm very pleased to announce my new car, a Mercedes W123. So here we go then, my new classic car, a 1983 Mercedes W123 200. Now I've driven a few W123s in my job at Classics World and they are fantastic. A proper cruiser, wafty barge, and they are old school, simple and tough enough to survive Africa. These things are pretty much bomb proof. So this one I bought from an auction up in Newcastle that we deal with at Classics World quite a lot, and I bought it completely sight unseen. I actually bid on it just before Christmas and I won the auction just before Christmas Eve, I believe it was, and I had to wait pretty much a month to go and collect the thing for various reasons. So I saw this for the first time once I'd already bought it, paid for it, insured it, and agreed it was my car. But to be fair, fingers crossed, on initial impressions, it looks like my gamble paid off. So let's have a quick look around this car and show you why I love it so very much. For a start, it's a 200, 2-litre petrol with a carburettor, automatic choke, and while it's not the almighty diesel that everyone goes crazy for, it's worth remembering that a typical diesel would cost you about twice the price that I pay for this 200 petrol. You're not going to get twice the fuel economy, and it doesn't make it twice the car, so I'm perfectly happy with my lot here. The colour is called Classic White. There's a few different whites on 123s, but using a Mercedes VIN decoder, I was able to ascertain that this is Classic White. Rather nice colour, suits this car quite nicely actually. I'm not a huge fan of white on classic cars, looks a little bit wedding colour on some cars, but for this I think it looks really, really good. These cars don't half like to rot though, but this one appears to be pretty good on the bodywork. We've looked all the way down it, there's a tiny little rust blister there you can see on that front wing, but it's straight as an arrow down the side. We've been underneath it on a ramp and it is really, really good underneath, so it is getting rust proofed pretty much immediately, and it looks to be a really solid example of a car that really isn't a given that it will fend off the rust. The car is in really good nick, all the chrome's straight, even the window rubbers aren't all cracked and split, there's no dings or dents down it. Even got the original Mercedes mud flaps there, fantastic. Now they are going to be coming off so I can paint behind them on the arch lips, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to keep those or not. I'm going to have to wait and see what it looks like without them. It is just in incredibly tidy condition. If you know these cars, you'll know where they like to rot, and you can see that this is pretty clean absolutely everywhere. On the rear it hasn't smacked anything on the corner. The boot lid is pretty much the only weak spot on this car. If you get right underneath there, I don't even know if the camera's going to be able to pick this up, there is a bit of rust under there, a little bit crustiness on the boot lid itself, but it should just be okay to plate that and then it will be good to go. I'm just amazed what good condition this thing's in, particularly considering that I paid a fair price for it, considering you can pay over 20 grand for the mint examples of 123s now. The two front door seals are past their best. They're cracking, they're splitting, there's a bit missing from this one. Fingers crossed they don't appear to leak at the moment, but they do also create quite a horrendous amount of wind noise once you're up to speed, and sooner or later they probably are going to start to leak, so I've got two brand new ones in the passenger seat there ready to fit. That'll be pretty much the first job I do to this car. Inside I got the blue cloth interior with original Mercedes-Benz floor mats all round. How cool is that? This is your handbrake on a 123. Rather than being the traditional thing that you pull up in the middle, you just twist it and push it away and that's off, and then pull it and that's on. A proper handbrake. Here's the thing you buy a classic Merc for. Oh, that is just fantastic. Nice bouncy bus-like seats. These are proper sprung seats with horsehair in them, so they've got a nice unusual feel to them. 121,000 miles on the clock, but you know what? It drives like it's done half that. This really is a fresh feeling car. And the blue dashboard, the blue seats, the blue carpets, I think this is a really, really tasteful colour combination. Don't be alarmed by the glove box lid sagging a little bit. I've never seen a 123 that doesn't have that going on, so I'm not too worried. It opens, it shuts, it locks, it'll do. It's also got a CD player from a newer Mercedes, a newer E-Class I would wager, because it's got CD capabilities on it. Now this does work okay, but at the moment the power aerial doesn't fold up. You can hear it sort of whirring and clunking and trying, but it doesn't go up, so the reception is pretty terrible. I'm going to try and clean that and rebuild it, but failing that, I'll buy a new aerial and maybe change the head unit as well. We'll have to see. 5-speed manual gearbox, that became an option from the Series 3 W123s from 1982 onwards. The original buyer of my car opted to go for the 5-speed, and I'm very glad for that because it means that on the motorway when cruising, it's really nice, it's relaxed, it's comfortable, and the fuel economy is not too shabby. I drove this 350 miles back from Newcastle, which you'll see in next week's video, the road trip of my first impressions of this car, and it did over 33 miles to the gallon, which for a 40-year-old 2-litre petrol carburetted car, I don't think is too bad. All the bits around here, the door trims, the chrome handles, the armrest are in really, really tidy condition. I'm really pleased with the lot I got here. This car's been really well looked after. Oh. So there you have it then, my new 1983 Mercedes 200, and I absolutely love this thing. It's a proper wafty, relaxing old barge. It's a relaxing thing to cruise in, and it is a really, really nice complement to this little nugget. Between the racy, bouncy, noisy B-Road basher and this relaxing classic cruiser, I think I've got a really good two-car garage going on now. It's in great condition, I'm happy with how much I paid for it, it's a joy to drive, and the condition is really, really good. There's just a few little odds and sods to sort. Those door seals, the rear aerial, I do want a rust proof underneath it. There were things to sort initially on this car when I first got it. The tyres looked good, but it turns out they were also 25 years old, so they've been replaced with some brand new ones. The battery was about half the size it needed to be, so that had to be replaced, and just yesterday the starter motor has decided it's on its way out, so I've got to keep a stick in the car to whack it if it decides it doesn't want to start. Don't worry, there will be a new starter motor in the equation. But on the whole, I am absolutely chuffed with this thing. I love W123s. I think this one's in really good condition. I am delighted, and there will be plenty of videos of this on the channel. I've got a couple of big road trips planned, some with Classics World and some just for my own personal enjoyment, and going to a few classic car meets, because I think frankly going to meets in my own cars I haven't really done in a while, so it'd be nice to get back out there, get into the community and show this awesome old girl off for the car that she is. I absolutely love it. I know Mercedes isn't normally my thing, I prefer my Italian stuff, but this is such a charming old bus. It's got character in a way that German cars for me just normally don't. I think this is potentially the best German car ever made, and I've seen a number of people make a good case for this car being the best car ever made, and this won't be modified. This is not a project car to slam and put a noisy exhaust on. It's to keep standard, look after sympathetically, and enjoy as the beautiful classic that it is. So there we have it, my new classic Mercedes, a 1983 W123 200, and I am in love with it. I've already put over 500 miles on this thing just the week or two I've owned it, and I adore it. Now next week there will be a road trip with my first driving impressions of this car, taking it all the way from Newcastle back down to Kent where I now live with my girlfriend, 350 miles in one slog with a car that I've never met before I drove it that long journey, and it was quite an adventure, I'll tell you that much. Let me know in the comments what you think of this old girl, and again what you want to see me do with it. But for now, I'm off for a little spin in my glorious classic Mercedes. Thanks for watching everybody, catch you soon, and have a good one.